The Curse of the Abandoned House, Part 1. Arrival in the Forgotten Village. On a dark night, with the wind howling like wolves, a group of 5 friends, Layla, Ahmed, Sarah, Yusuf, and Marwa, arrived at a remote village on the edge of the desert. They were university students in search of an adventure to document on their blog about abandoned places. The village, known as Black Valley, was nearly deserted, save for a few elderly residents who whispered of an old house atop a hill, a house no one had dared approach for decades. As they walked through the narrow village streets, they felt invisible eyes watching them. The houses were crumbling with broken windows, as if time had stopped there. An old woman sitting on her doorstep warned them, "Don't go near the house. It's cursed." But they laughed it off, dismissing her words as mere superstition. They pitched their tents near the house for their first night, excited to explore it in the morning. At midnight, Layla awoke to a faint whisper, someone calling her name from afar. She stepped out of her tent to find darkness enveloping everything, but noticed a dim light flickering from one of the house's windows. When she turned to wake her friends, she found the tents empty. Part 2. The Locked Door. By morning, the friends returned, claiming they had just been exploring the nearby area. But Layla sensed something was off about their behavior, as if they were hiding something. They decided to enter the house together. The large wooden door, though seemingly sealed tight, opened easily at Yusuf's touch, as if the house had been waiting for them. Inside, the walls were coated with dust and cobwebs, and old cracked mirrors reflected their images in strange, distorted ways. Sarah, who loved photography, took pictures of the rooms, but later noticed eerie shadows in the photos, shadows that hadn't been there before. Ahmed, the bravest among them, suggested splitting up to explore the house faster. Layla objected, but the others agreed. In one of the rooms, Marwa found an old, handwritten journal. Its pages were filled with warnings written in red ink. "Do not look into the mirrors. They are watching." A chill ran down her spine, but she hid the journal in her bag without telling the others. Part 3. Whispers in the Dark. As night fell, things took a stranger turn. While eating dinner inside the house, the flashlights they had brought suddenly went out. They heard a scratching noise from upstairs, as if something heavy was being dragged across the floor. Yusuf and Ahmed went to investigate while the girls stayed in the main room. Upstairs, they found a room chained shut with a rusty lock. As they tried to open it, a cold gust of air swept past them, accompanied by incomprehensible whispers. Ahmed, holding a flashlight, saw a shadow dart across the corner of the room. When he turned, he found only a large mirror reflecting his face, but his eyes in the reflection were pitch black. Downstairs, Layla grew anxious when the boys didn't return. She, Sarah, and Marwa went to look for them but found the upper floor empty, except for the mirror, which was now dripping red. Part 4. The Bleeding Mirror. The girls stood frozen before the mirror. Red droplets slowly dripped down its surface, as if the glass itself were bleeding. Sarah, trying to capture the moment on camera, dropped it in shock when her reflection smiled at her, while she was screaming. Marwa, recalling the journal's warning, urged them not to look into the mirror. But Layla couldn't resist. When she did, she saw herself surrounded by tall, faceless black figures. Suddenly, Yusuf and Ahmed returned, but they were pale and silent. When Layla asked what had happened, they didn't answer. Instead, they pointed to a room at the end of the hallway. Inside, they found an old altar carved with strange symbols. At its center was a small statue of a man with hollow eyes, as if he were watching them. That night, the group decided to stay together in one room, but soon noticed changes in each other. Ahmed became aggressive and Youssef began muttering to himself in an unknown language. Marwa finally confessed about the journal and read aloud a passage describing ancient rituals performed in the house to summon a dark entity. Part 5. The Dark Entity. The journal revealed that the house was once the center of an old cult that worshipped a being known as the Watcher. They offered human sacrifices to appease him, and anyone who looked into the mirrors became subject to his control. Layla suggested leaving immediately, but Ahmed angrily refused, claiming that the house needs us. Youssef, seemingly in a trance, began drawing symbols on the floor identical to those on the altar. Terrified, Sarah proposed finding a hidden exit. They discovered a concealed cellar beneath the floorboards, but heard heavy footsteps approaching. Opening the cellar door, they found walls covered in paintings of eyes watching them. In the center stood another mirror, but this time it reflected a strange figure in a black robe. The friends tried to escape, but the doors and windows slammed shut, as if the house itself was preventing their departure. Layla, struggling to stay calm, suggested destroying the mirrors to break the curse, but they found the mirrors wouldn't shatter. Instead, they absorbed their blows like sponges. Suddenly, Ahmed grew more violent. He attacked Youssef, claiming, "He's not one of us." The group split up. Lila and Marwa fled upstairs while Sarah stayed behind, trying to calm Ahmed. But she noticed something horrifying. Ahmed's eyes had turned completely black, just like in the mirror. Upstairs, Layla and Marwa found a room full of old photographs of people who looked eerily like them, as if the house had been expecting them for a long time. Part 7. The Terrifying Truth. In the photos, 5 people appeared who bore uncanny resemblances to the group, but dressed in 19th century clothes. Marwa, reading the journal again, discovered that the house repeated the same ritual every 100 years, luring young people to serve as new sacrifices for the Watcher. The journal said the only way to break the curse was to complete the ritual or destroy the altar. Layla chose to face her fear and return to the altar. But there she found Youssef, standing before it with a knife, chanting strange words. She tried to stop him, but he attacked her, claiming the Watcher wanted her specifically. Marwa saved her just in time, but they realized Sarah and Ahmed were missing. Part 8. The Confrontation. In the cellar, Layla and Marwa found Sarah tied up in front of the large mirror. She whispered, "He's here. He sees all of us." Then Ahmed emerged from the darkness, but he was no longer Ahmed. His body moved unnaturally, as if something else controlled it. Layla tried to speak to him, but he pointed to the mirror, where the Watcher appeared, a faceless dark entity, filled with glowing eyes. Layla and Marwa tried to destroy the altar using tools they found in the cellar, but the Watcher began appearing in every mirror throughout the house. The whispers grew louder, and the walls began to tremble. In a desperate moment, Layla faced the mirror and shouted, "Take me and let them go." Part 9. The Sacrifice. Suddenly, everything stopped. The whispers vanished and the walls grew still. But Layla felt something invade her. She saw memories that weren't hers, bloody rituals, screaming victims, the Watcher's eyes observing it all. She realized the Watcher needed a body to exist in the real world, and she was the final target. Marwa, still resisting, found a spell in the journal that required burning the altar. With Sarah, now free, she set it ablaze. But the Watcher, now controlling Layla, tried to stop them. In a dramatic moment, Marwa pushed Layla away from the altar, causing it to collapse. Part 10. The End, or the Beginning. The house began to crumble, and the mirrors finally shattered. Marwa and Sarah managed to escape, but Layla, Ahmed, and Youssef were nowhere to be found. When they returned to the village, the residents stared at them in silence, as if they knew what had happened. The old woman who had warned them said, "The house never lets go. It will return." Months later, as Marwa tried to forget the past, she found a photo on her phone she didn't remember taking. It was a picture of her standing in front of a mirror.
But her reflection was smiling, and behind her the Watcher's eyes were watching.